And the Rules Committee will come to order. We have one resolution to consider this evening, 2025-201, a resolution submitting to the electors of the County of Summit at the November 4th, 2025 general election a proposed charter amendment to add Article 11 to the Charter of the County of Summit as set forth in Exhibit A for the executive and declaring an emergency.
Okay. All right. Good evening, Council, and welcome back. Brian Nelson, Executives. I'm so used to saying Department of Finance and Budget when I come up here. I guess Executives Administration. I'm excited. They let me have a laser pointer, which I have not used one, in, particularly with you guys, in quite a while, and a clicker. So, yes. I think I have spoken with all of you concerning this charter amendment that we have before you tonight. This comes out of a lot of discussion with our state legislative delegation, with the County Commissioners Association. Executive Shapiro went down to Columbus and testified before the Ways and Means Committee on House Bill, I think it was 309, which also tied into House Bill 335, which we'll talk about here in a minute. The culmination of all of this was really a group of us sitting down and saying and talking with some of our outside legal and bond counsel about the fact that we are uniquely positioned in terms of counties. We're a charter county, and we are one of only 2 charter counties. And so with that distinction comes the ability under state law for the county to be able to enact the types of things that municipal corporations can do under their charters. And we looked at what you have before you, which is kind of a takeoff of what some of the other municipalities have done, which is enacting a limitation on taxation, on taxes. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. What this does is adds 2 new sections or a new Article 11, to our county charter, and under it 2 sections, 1101, limitation on enactment of taxes, and 1102, limitation on charter property taxes. So this, I would call this, as we talked with the state, they have spent the last 2 years at least, and I know you could probably say they've spent the last 50 years working on tax reform, everything from income tax to property tax. And the last couple of years they've been working vehemently. They had a county auditors group that put together 21 recommendations on changes to property tax laws. I think we all know as we start going down the rabbit hole on how property taxes work, it starts getting very complicated very quickly. We looked at options from a countywide perspective, and again, got very complicated very quickly. What we began to realize is, and this really came out of out of House Bill 335 and the state's discussion about eliminating the use of inside millage by taxing authorities other than townships. And there's a slide in here, we'll get to that in a few minutes. But that would have devastating consequences for us at the county, which we will also get to in a couple minutes. But in looking at that and looking what municipalities have done with their charters in terms of placing limitations on taxes, we put together this proposed charter amendment, the highlights of which I would call a responsible tax reform. It caps the amount of taxes that may be levied by the county on any taxable property in the County of Summit without a vote of the majority of the electors at 0.22% of the taxable value of said properties, and caps annual increases on the property taxes that may be levied going forward for the aforementioned services at 3% in aggregate. So what that means, right now the county collects 2.2 mils of inside millage. Under the Constitution of Ohio, there is an aggregate cap of 1% on any parcel in the state. That then leads to what the county or the state then enacted, which is the 10 mil limitation. So every property in Summit County, the most unvoted property tax that can be placed on any parcel in the county is 10 mils. And that is shared between the county, the school districts, and the municipal subdivisions and townships within the county. The 2.2 mils that the county collects, back in I think it was the 30s, it was previously 15 mils. It was reduced to 10. The county's statutory authority under state law, counties can enact up to 3 mils. In Summit County, we were locked in at the 2.2 mils. So what we are proposing is a charter millage of 2.2 mils, and charter millage is separate but acts the same under the Ohio Constitution as inside millage. It's technically not unvoted because when you vote for the charter amendment, you then provide this council the authority, along with the executive, to enact charter millage. The charter millage that would be enacted, though, in our case, would replace the 2.2 mils of inside millage. We have further enacted a cap on the growth of that so that in aggregate, the total collected countywide, if we enact charter millage, cannot increase by more than 3%. So you go back to 2 years ago, we saw a countywide valuation increase of nearly 30%. Our tax collections went up nearly 30% on our inside millage. If this had been in place, we would have reduced that millage from 2.2 mils down to whatever the number is, 2.06, to generate not more than an overall 3% increase in total collections. So this is a true tax reform in essentially limiting the growth on those 2.2 mils going forward. It also, if you look at the last bullet point, prevents us from levying both the charter and inside millage. So if we make the switch from that inside millage of 2.2 mils, which has no cap on growth, over to charter millage, then we cannot enact both. But because we still have the statutory authority to go back to inside millage, nobody else can touch that inside millage. It's still ours, even though we're not using it, which means somebody else, a school district, township, city, they can't grab that and essentially enact additional inside millage because that millage is still dedicated to us. This charter amendment also requires a higher threshold for approval on unvoted taxes. Right now, our charter is silent on that, so it essentially just takes a majority, which out of 11 members of council would take 6 votes to pass it. This sets that threshold at 60%, so you now need 7 members of council to enact an unvoted tax. Plus, you obviously, in all these cases, also need the executive to approve, which gets us to a comparable footing with the other 86 statutory counties where it takes 2 out of 3 commissioners, or 2/3. So the folks that have been elected in Summit County to do the work of what is statutorily in other counties, county commissioners, just like them, we need 2/3 of those people elected to enact anything going forward under the charter. So it's a higher standard in terms of enacting unvoted taxes in the county. The next slide here, Article 10, this just cites the constitutional provisions that allow the county as a charter county to enact a charter amendment that essentially provides it with municipal authorities and allows the county to then place a limitation in its charter on the enactment of unvoted taxes. Now, we get into the question of why is all this necessary, right? Inside millage accounts for nearly $41 million of revenue that goes directly to the county's general fund, and a portion of it goes to the county's debt service fund to pay outstanding debt obligations. Without that money going to the debt service fund, the county general fund is on the hook for that. Property owners, so much of this debate, and we're going to talk about not just what the state's doing here in a minute, but also what residents are doing in terms of a residential petition that's circulating around the state for signatures. But a lot of this is, oops, that's not the pointer. I'm out of practice here. This is very much a reaction to what happened right here, which is that 30% increase I told you about. When we were in Columbus, we kept hearing our state representatives continually talking about the last 5 years. But I think you got to take a much longer time horizon look at what happens here with values and with taxes. Going back 20 years, if you look back at 20 years ago at where we started with what valuation was collecting, and then you track what happened with property values from 2006 through last year, and then you look at the rate of inflation during that period, what you'll see is, and a lot of this really happened here in 2012, when we saw property values decrease by, I think it was about 9% on average across the county. The taxes collected on inside millage have not kept pace with inflation. Residents have continually, as a percentage of adjusted income, paid less and less in property taxes. So when that 30% valuation increase hit 2 years ago, it really did nothing more than catch the millage, what a mill was generating, to be what it was generating back in 2006 based on valuation. This charter amendment, though, would stop that sharp increase that occurred here from happening. It would be a more gradual 3% growth rate if we saw another large valuation increase. Again, on our county inside, or essentially 2.2 charter mills. But a lot of this history, I think, is lost amongst people. When they see their valuations go up 30%, I don't think most residents feel like they got a great deal over the last 20 years, and it's just catching up. And I think it's kind of easy to lose sight of that. For us, that $40 million that I mentioned, this is what it supports. Our 2025 general fund adopted budget was a little over $160 million. Nearly $100 million of that was salaries and benefits. Here's why that's important. When we get to the point here of talking about these two ballot initiatives, or the voter signature gathering petition and House Bill 335, the voter piece does not have a replacement. That leaves us in a really precarious situation, as does House Bill 335, which did have a remedy, but it needs to be voter approved. And so the timing on that really is everything. The fact that 2/3 of our budget is made up of salaries and benefits tells you the only way to balance our budget, if we don't have guaranteed revenues to pay for them, is to reduce salary and benefit costs. We still, to this day, going back to the Great Recession of 2008, are nearly 1,000 employees less across the county in employment than we were back in 2008. And in 2008, when the Great Recession hit, we had to cut costs to balance our budget. We did not raise taxes. Over $100 million of that $160 million is criminal justice and court operations. That would take by far the biggest hit if we were to lose our inside millage. It's the jail, it's the sheriff's office, it's the prosecutor's office, it's all of the court operations, it's the Oriana contracts for community corrections. the impact of a cut of almost 25% of our revenues and almost half of our personnel costs would be enormous. General fund revenue projections, this big orange slice of the pie right here, that's what we're talking about. That is the $41 million of general fund revenue that comes from that inside millage, that House Bill 335, this voter-led petition initiative, would eliminate. That's why this protection from this charter amendment is so important to us, to be able to preserve services. I've kind of, and I say this half jokingly, but not really, voters are not going to understand what happens the day they go from calling 911 and hearing 911, what's your emergency, to 911, can you please hold? Because that's the type of thing that likely could happen if we were to lose this type of funding from one of these two initiatives. Citizens for Property Tax Reform. This is the group that's out gathering signatures right now to essentially eliminate property taxes in Ohio completely. There is no replacement revenue being offered by this constitutional amendment. Their position is, well, the state just has to go figure that out. I want you to think about this. This gets on the ballot, passes next November. We're heading then into 2027, having just lost $41 million of revenue, facing the prospect of, well, we got to go do something to raise that revenue. That, between the levy agencies, the voted levies, these unvoted levies, would take a 17.5% sales tax in order to make that up. There's also discussion at the state level about continuing to reduce property or income taxes. We could get in a situation where the sales tax in Ohio is 25–30%, which means businesses are fleeing and residents are driving into other states to go buy stuff. I mean, this really could be detrimental. This amendment, again, and we don't have an ability to enact a 17.5% property tax. But countywide, property taxes, $1.1 billion in property tax collections for all of the taxing authorities in Summit County. School districts would be going bankrupt. We would be forced to immediately start laying folks off. Looking at that salary and benefit number I showed you, the $100 million, that would be the kind of the tip of the iceberg. It would be much worse than that with this. The problem is, too, once you do all that, and then say you do get a tax passed, well, now you've dismantled everything. So trying to put it back together, these employees are gone, not an easy situation to deal with. House Bill 335. This one is problematic, not quite to the extent the voter initiative was, but House Bill 335 has two provisions. Obviously, the repeal of the inside millage, and this bill's still sitting in Columbus. It just didn't get put into the state budget. But they do have a provision in here that allows counties to levy an additional 1% of sales tax, but is subject to voter approval. So again, if this were to pass, if this were to pass before the end of this year, we would be going into next year having to immediately start worrying about laying people off, because we don't have the runway to float the cost of payroll for the period it would take to get a tax enacted. And that's one of the things that when the executive presented to that Ways and Means Committee, they were just like, oh, you just go enact a sales tax. Well, okay, that's easy. But in the meantime, we got to start making plans if we can't. And even if we do, there's still a long lag between it getting enacted and us being able to collect it. We don't have reserve balances to carry us through that. This was kind of interesting. This is the one thing that I think finally caught the state legislature's attention. A bunch of bond counsel firms in Ohio put together a statement that they sent to the state of Ohio talking about the constitutionality of eliminating inside millage and the implications of doing that. The impairment of contracts. Article 2 of the Ohio Constitution prohibits the passage of laws that impair contract provisions. In addition, excuse me, ORC states that laws may not be passed that reduce, rescind, or impair responsibilities or covenants affecting Chapter 133 securities, such as unvoted general obligations. Chapter 133 securities is the section of the Ohio Revised Code that speaks to the issuance of debt. The elimination of inside millage almost certainly will be challenged by bondholders and bond insurers and others deemed to have standing as a breach of existing contractual covenants and securities made by political subdivisions that have issued unvoted general obligation bonds and holders of certificates of participation. These challenges will be based upon a number of Ohio Constitution provisions and Ohio Revised Code provisions. Weakening of unvoted general obligation bonds, risks of defaults. Unvoted general obligation bonds in Ohio are secured by a pledge of the full faith and credit and taxing power of a political subdivision, which primarily consists of a pledge of its inside millage. The Ohio Constitution requires that if you're going to, as a taxing authority, issue debt, you have to have a taxing source to repay that. That's why inside millage is, I think there is roughly $800 million of outstanding debt just in Summit County by the taxing authorities in Summit County, backed by the pledge of inside millage. Taking that away would immediately place all of the taxing authorities of Summit County into a essential default situation on its bond obligations. And obviously, if property taxes were completely eliminated, it would become more than just a technical default. You would see defaults all over the place. A lot of these entities, like townships and school districts, that's their primary revenue source. Conclusion. Again, for us, this is a security measure to ensure that we can continue providing those services which we rely on our inside millage to pay for. The amendment of the Summit County Charter is a responsible tax reform that protects our property owners from the impact large valuation increases have on Summit County unvoted property millage and ensures the continued delivery of vital public safety and criminal justice services like 911. Criminal justice, public safety, those services, I think we all feel those are a matter of life and death, and it's our responsibility to make sure those services are provided. These provisions that are being looked at in Columbus, that voters they're out getting signatures to put on the ballot, would definitely negatively impact, almost really cripple our ability to provide those services. We have to have an option in place that would allow us to responsibly, and again, we don't disagree, property owners, that 30% valuation increase, we want to protect them from the impact of that happening in the future. But we also have a responsibility to make sure our residents, when they pick up the phone and call 911, not only is somebody there to answer it, but somebody's there to go respond to that call. And that's really what this is about, making sure that we're in a position to continue to do that. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Executive, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add.
Well, we'll see. Any questions from members of the committee?
Frank, what is, are there any opposition groups against this piece of legislation?
Against our piece? Well, nobody's really seen it yet, so no, not yet. I can't say there won't be.
Do you anticipate anybody regarding, I'm not a legal expert, but to me, this seems like a way to protect ourselves so that we can control our future and it keeps the residents top of mind.
I would say two things when it comes to that. One, yes, it very much is a protection measure for us. The other is, because the Ohio Constitution spells out that municipal authorities, in our case charter counties, have the ability to enact limitations on taxes, when somebody shows up at the ballot to read this, and that there truly are limitations on taxes, again, locking us in that we can't do more than 2.2 mils, that it requires a 60% vote of council to enact anything, and that any taxes enacted cannot grow by more than 3% a year. Those are all true limitations. The reading of this, which is based on what the Ohio Constitution allows for, it reads, I think, well in terms of property owners when they show up and read this. So do I expect opposition? I don't know, quite honestly, but I think it's a very responsible charter amendment that we're putting forward.
Are there questions from members of the committee? Any other members of council? Brandon, did you have? Oh, I'm sorry, Beth, I didn't see you.
So will we provide a summary and explanation to the public? Because, you know,
Yes.
there's kind of some legalese there that might be difficult to understand, so that people can understand that this is a self-imposed limit on the increase of our portion of property taxes.
Yes. We are, one of the things we want to do is we're going to get this over to the Board of Elections. They'll approve the final ballot language and get us an issue number. When we get that issue number, that's when we want to put together the informational pieces. We would like to get the word out on social media on this. I anticipate we'll be getting you guys information and handouts. We will be happy to go around to any community meetings, any organizations that want to have us, Rotary clubs, chambers of commerce. We're going to be beating the path for the next couple of months trying to get voters to understand why this is necessary and how it helps protect them as well.
Mr. Ford?
Thank you. Just a couple of questions. Is 335 still an actual threat?
It's still sitting out there. It's still in its committee. So I don't know that we can rule out that it's not.
Well, the governor established a new committee to look yet again at recommendations, and I believe he wanted them back by September 1st, end of September. So I think it's probably paused until that time, but once that committee responds with their recommendations, I suspect everything is back on the table for discussion.
And then my other question is, you know, you have to make it plain for people. And to Councilwoman McKinney's point, a lot of legalese.
Yeah.
You describe it as a tax reform, and you use the word protection. Are we raising taxes
No.
on people? So I think you need to say that.
We are
I
not
think-
raising taxes, and we are limiting the future growth of taxes that are already in place.
That should be your number one slide.
Yeah.
Just.
Well, this slide was prepared for
I know.
for
Of
you
course.
guys and for
Of
tonight.
course. Of
Yes.
course. No, I'm just saying.
All my pie charts and graphs, I know you love them, but
Yes.
most of the residents won't. Well, I know you don't either, but it's fine.
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions?
Agree wholeheartedly, Mr. Ford.
Any other questions, comments from members of council? The public? I'll entertain a motion to bring us out. John, you want to move on that? John Donofrio moved on 2020.
I'm not here for that.
You can do it at the beginning, at the,
You're going
President.
to do public comments with me.
Okay.
For the council.
I'm not gonna vote on this until I say something.
Oh,
been a motion to approve 2025-201. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That concludes
John,
the
could I
Rules
take a
Committee.
minute?
Sure.
From my seat, this looks like a very sensible way to protect our property owners and to protect the stability of of the Summit County, to be able to provide a good solution. I don't know what the state's going to come up with. I have no idea. But it will be something that perhaps isn't as, I don't want to say thoroughly thought, but as unique to a specific county. How's that sound? because we haven't, that in this way helps ensure that we're able to do what we need to do, not only now, but going forward, and stabilize the cost to our residents that are paying property taxes that they think are outrageous. Their properties are going up, but that's not a cash thing. That's not in their pocket to pay the bills today. So we are looking to stabilize it and be responsible to our residents here over time. And I agree, it has to be simple language, because I get my headache when I do this. I can also tell you, I don't think that that charter amendment, that the public petition that's out there, I don't think that's going away. So from where we stand, that is not something that we would encourage somebody to sign. There is no alternative to it. It's just getting rid of property taxes, which I think could just cause a nightmare. So I just wanted to put that on your radar as well. We don't know if we're going to have any opposition or not, but whatever it is, we're going to be prepared to tell the communities and the residents in those communities what we're doing and how, once again, we're being proactive about creating our own destiny and providing for our communities here in Summit County. So, thank you. Thanks, John.
I would add to Mr. Ford's question about, is it a tax increase? No, it's not. And we will continue to operate on the lowest county sales tax rate in the state of Ohio at 0.5%, with 84 counties being double to triple that rate. And we also operate at per capita general fund budget, which is what we just went through. All those public safety and criminal justice services, 30% less than the next lowest of the 6 large urban counties.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, Council.
Okay. Thank you. All right, we're going to move right on into August 4th, 2025, regular council meeting. We're going to begin with our caucus sheet. There are no motions. There are 22 first readings. There are 4 first reading passage requests, 2025-202. We have, I believe Andrew is coming on up, correct? Okay, Andrew will address council.
Good afternoon, Council. Andrew Berry from County Executive Shapiro's Department of Law and Risk Management. I am here to talk to you about our cyber liability insurance. This purchase is through our insurance broker, Wickert Insurance. This covers all of our county departments and offices with the exception of the courts and the clerk of courts, who are covered at 50% because they are still implementing their multi-factor authentication, which are these little handy-dandy tokens here. We have been working to implement those, and Stephen Byrne is in the audience if you have any questions about that. But I know they are working through that process. So this insurance price does not increase from last year. The coverage amounts stay the same. It covers us for a retention amount of $100,000 per occurrence. That is the amount we would have to spend for a cyber attack before the insurance would kick in. And then it covers us for $1 million per occurrence per cyber attack. And a shout out to our law department and our Deputy Director of Law, Bob Hyam, because this price used to be substantially higher for less coverage. And 2 years ago, or last year was the first year that changed. Our price decreased and our coverage doubled, and we are maintaining that same coverage this year. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? If not, thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next is 2025-203. Christine, you okay with that? Okay. Next is 2025-203. Lori Pesci to address council.
Good evening, Lori Pesci, Executive's Office, Department of Public Safety. This is the funding we receive from ODRC to operate the community-based corrections facility. The facility's governing board oversees that facility. They have recently agreed to have Oriana House continue to run it, and so the county serves as a pass-through for this funding.
Okay. Do we have any questions? Thanks, Lori.
Thank you.
Next is 2025-204. We have Mr. Byrne here to address council.
Stephen Byrne, Office of Information Technology. So this is for a couple of change orders that has to deal with our network as a service contract that we have with Advisex. The first part of it is dealing with some additional access points for domestic relations court. They had some older access points. We had a pretty good price point on our contract, so allowing them to step into our contract gives a little bit of cost savings to them and gives them some updated equipment. The second part of the change order is dealing with the moves out to the Grant Street location. These are not pieces of equipment that we have currently in our inventory, so these are network switches and access points that allow that location to be lit up on our network.
Okay. Do we have any questions? No? Thanks, Mr. Vern.
Yep, thanks.
And John, you okay with this?
Yes.
Okay. Next is 2025-205. We have Sarah is here to address council, also Bryson Hill and John Wharton tonight.
Hi,
Welcome.
Sarah Butchie-Gross, Executives Department of Finance and Budget. We have our 2025 summer interns here to present tonight's appropriations to you.
Hello, Council. My name is Bryson Hill. Like Sarah said, I'm an intern in Finance and Budget, and we're going to be starting on the top of page 1. So first off, we have the Law Library Grant Fund. We are allocating funds from a grant to support print software and services for the Law Library. Next, for the Board of Elections, we are adjusting the 2025 Board of Elections salary budget to better reflect expected expenses. Third, we have the Executive Special Capital Improvements. We are funding construction and design services for the Summit Center renovation. This was previously approved by Council. At the top of page 2, we are for the executive capital projects. We are funding HVAC replacement at the Sheriff's Training Facility. This project was previously approved by Council as well. For the EMA grants sort, we are adjusting the budget to use grant funds received for Emergency Management Agency materials. For public safety operations, we are adjusting the public safety radio budget to reflect 2025 expected expenses. At the top of page 3, for the public safety operations, SECC capital maintenance, we are funding insurance costs for public safety dispatch building for 2025. And lastly, for my part, public safety grants, CBCF, we are appropriating pass-through grant funds for the CBCF program and partner with the Oriana House.
Hello, I'm John Warden. I'm an intern at Summit County's Finance and Budgeting Department. Continuing at the bottom of page 3, regarding public safety grants, regarding the Oriana House, the Department of Public Safety is adjusting the budget for the Oriana House. And we'll flip over to page 4. The top of page 4, regarding common pleas grants, we are appropriating the funds for common pleas to record a small refund from OHI. And then next, regarding common pleas court grants, for the ARPA backlog project, we are adjusting appropriations for common pleas in order to match the grant budget. And for some more common pleas court grants, we are reappropriating unused funds from 2024. And then we'll flip over to page 5. At the top of page 5, for the domestic relations court grants, we are appropriating funds for domestic relations court for the Safe Families program. And we go down to Department of Sewer Services. Regarding the Department of Sewer Services capital projects, the council has approved the funds to allow the Department of Sewer Services to extend services in Boston Township. And for the final engineer capital projects, we are appropriating funds for the feasibility study. For the high level bridge project. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any questions?
Does the council have any questions? You guys did a nice job. And enjoy school. Are they going to school now? John, you're okay with that?
Yes?
Okay, and before we move on, we have one public comment. Apostolette would like to address council. Apostolette, you have 3 minutes.
I'd like to have additional one. I'd like to address the original legislation, additional legislation, please. Good evening. I'm Reverend Pamela Pinckney, also known as Apostolette. And the Board of Elections, it's amazing because I can never have a conversation with Eileen Shapiro. I'm in opposition to that legislation that she's promoting and anything that the Board of Elections and Oriana House does, because they're both religiously and racially biased. They do not have any people of color that support and promote people of color in the voting process. And I've been talking about it for some time now. And I don't mean put black, brown, and multiracial people on the board. They'll throw black, brown, and multiracial people under the bus either. Sell the people out. We need some people of color on the Board of Elections to make decisions. I'm here this evening, Prosecutor Golansky, because I need your help and this council's help. I'm also a presidential candidate for the United States of America for 2028. And I don't have a safe place to live, clean place to live. I called your office, Councilman Kaysen, because on the 9th of July, I had to leave where I live because of the mold in there. It's amazing, Councilman Higham, I don't know how to say your name. Most of my opposition is women. I have not had a clean, safe place to live in the United States of America since I reported abuse. And it's been over 25 years. That's the challenge I face with the agenda that you have. I'm a multiracial, heterosexual female who reported abuse, and I got a mental health label put on me for doing so. And Councilman Wilhite, I have not had a clean, safe place to live. I have tried to reach the county sheriff. I have tried to get APD. I even had something as recently as someone send their sexual parts on my ministry phone and my birth certificate stolen out of my apartment. I have been doing what I'm supposed to do. Children's Services is involved with this because Prosecutor Golansky, my records in the courts have been being transferred in multiple counties, legal action taking place without my being allowed legal representation or the right to know what's going on. My ballots disappear in elections. And I never blurt out, but the reason I asked if I could speak urgently is because I don't have a place to live here in Summit County. And I'm paying rent where I live. I appreciate you all very much. You all have been enormously kind to me. I don't ever want you to feel like I'm here to attack your character or anything that you're doing, but I want you aware of what's really going on. And when these entities come before you, they're not being honest. Jody Glitzenstein at Oriana House owes me an apology. And Mr. Council President, I sent the information to your staff.
Right.
And I do have videos. And if you ever want a conversation with me, I can tell you what really works in the county and in America. Thank you for allowing me the extra time. I appreciate it. And please pray my safety and get some answers and accountability. Thank you.
Thank you, Apostolate. Thank you very much. Moving on, we have routine legislation found on page 6. There are no second readings. There are no third readings. Please rise for the pledge led by Councilman David Lacotte, followed by a moment of silence. Roll call?
Mr. Schmidt,
Here.
Ms. Hyam,
Here.
Mr. Donafrio, Mr. Cajun, Ms. Dickinson, Mr. Ford,
Here.
Mr. Wilhite,
Here.
Ms. Darrow,
Here.
Mr. Lacotte,
Here.
Ms. McKinney,
Here.
Ms. Walters.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes, June 30th, 2025? I have a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
First readings, 2025-202. A resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a professional service contract for cyber liability insurance coverage for a one-year term from July 125 through July 126 in an amount not to exceed $77,987.50 payable through Wickard Insurance Services, Incorporated, doing business as Wickard Insurance as a best practical source for the Executive's Department of Law and Risk Management emergency.
Madam President, I move to suspend the rules and adopt 2025-202.
I have a motion to suspend and adopt 2025-202. On the suspension, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the adoption, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
2025-203, a resolution authorizing the executive to execute a contract with Oriental House Incorporated and the Summit County Facility Governing Board for the operation of the County of Summit's community-based correctional facility from July 125 through June 30, 27, and in an amount not to exceed $12,693,256 for the Executive's Department of Public Safety emergency.
Madam President, I move to suspend the rules and adopt 2025-203.
I have a motion to suspend the rules and adopt 2025-203. On the suspension, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the adoption, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
2025-204, a resolution authorizing the executive, subject to the approval of the Board of Control, to execute change order number 2 to a professional service contract with Advise X Technologies Limited Liability Company as a best practical source to include network as a service for Aruba access points coverage at Domestic Relations Court for a 5-year term in an amount not to exceed $18,820 for a cumulative increase of 34.26% and confirming the award by the Board of Control of change order number 3 to a professional service contract with Advise X Technologies Limited Liability Company as a best practical source for network as a service for Aruba access points for additional coverage at the Board of Elections and during the Ohio Building Project move for a 5-year term and in an amount not to exceed $27,294 for a cumulative increase of 44.98% for a total amount not to exceed $368,888 for the Office of Information Technology emergency.
Madam President, I move to suspend the rules and adopt 2025-204.
I have a motion to suspend the rules and adopt 2025-204. On the motion to suspend, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the adoption, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
2025-205, a resolution appropriating funds in order to meet projected expenditures for the balance of 2025 as set forth in Exhibit A for the Executive's Department of Finance and Budget emergency.
Madam President, move to suspend the rules and adopt 2025-205.
I have a motion to suspend the rules and adopt 2025-205. On the motion to suspend, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the adoption, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
2025-206, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a professional design service contract with GPD Group Incorporated for the engineering services feasibility study phase of the high-level bridge replacement project located in the cities of Akron and Cuyahoga Falls and Council Districts 2 and 4 for an amount not to exceed $2,858,664 for the engineer emergency. 2025-207, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a construction contract with Systones Excavating Services Limited Liability Company for the 2025 Summit County Catch Basin Repair Program in an amount not to exceed $144,660 for the engineer emergency. 2025-208, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a professional service contract with Palmer Engineering Company for the preliminary design of the Norwood Lake Outlet Stormwater Improvements Project located in Northfield Center Township in Council District 1 in an amount not to exceed $88,689 for the engineer emergency. 2025-209, a resolution requesting that the Director of the Ohio Department of Transportation determine and declare a prima facie speed limit of 35 miles per hour on a section of Akron-Cleveland Road under the jurisdiction of the county located in Boston Township in Council District 1 for the engineer emergency. 2025-210, a resolution authorizing the executive to enter into an agreement for the acquisition of a standard highway easement over a portion of 3020 Sanitarium Road located in Springfield Township and Council District 8 in a total amount not to exceed $2,336 as part of the Kent Road and Sanitarium Road intersection and pedestrian safety improvement project for the engineer emergency. 2025-211, a resolution authorizing the executive to enter into an agreement for the acquisition of a drainage easement over a portion of 5215 Harder Road located in Richfield Township and Council District 1 in a total amount not to exceed $300 as part of the Medina Line Road Culvert Replacement Project for the engineer emergency. 2025-212, a resolution authorizing the executive to advertise for bids for the disposal of sludge from both the Fish Creek Wastewater Treatment Plant Number 25, located in the city of Stowe, and the Upper Tuscaroras Wastewater Treatment Plant Number 36, located in Springfield Township and in Council Districts 3 and 8, to a solid waste landfill for a 3-year term for an estimated total cost not to exceed $1,025,000 for the Executive's Department of Sanitary Sewer Services Emergency. 2025-213, a resolution authorizing the executive to declare the official intent and reasonable expectation of the County of Summit on behalf of the State of Ohio, the borrower, is to reimburse the Sanitary Sewer Operating Fund for the CU14AB Mudbrook Sanitary Emergency Repair Project with the proceeds of tax-exempt debt of the State of Ohio located in the city of Cuyahoga Falls in Council District 2 for the Executive's Department of Sanitary Sewer Services Emergency. 2025-214, a resolution authorizing the executive to execute an amendment to the existing sanitary sewer service agreement between the county and the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District dated October 22, 1987, to amend the City of Hudson sanitary sewer service area located in the City of Hudson in Council District 3 for the executive's Department of Sanitary Sewer Services Emergency. 2025-215, a resolution accepting the recommendations of the Tax Incentive Review Council regarding 2 enterprise zone agreements in Summit County located in the city of Cuyahoga Falls and Twinsburg Township in Council Districts 1 and 2 for the Executive's Department of Community and Economic Development Emergency. 2025-216, a resolution authorizing the executive to advertise for bids for the CBCF Women's Facility Roof Replacement Project located in the city of Akron and Council District 4 for an estimated total cost not to exceed $450,000 for the Executive's Department of Administrative Services Physical Plants Emergency. 2025-217, a resolution confirming the award of the Board of Control of a construction contract with Quorum Group Limited Liability Company doing business as Take Form under Other Public Cooperative Purchasing Association pricing for the Summit County Parking Deck Signage Project located in the city of Akron in Council District 4 in an amount not to exceed $98,578.61 for the Executive's Department of Administrative Services Services Physical Plants Emergency. 2025-218, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of professional service contracts with various providers for behavioral health and juvenile justice services for the period July 1, 25 through June 30, 26, and a total amount not to exceed $213,892 for the Court of Common Pleas Juvenile Division Emergency. 2025-219, an ordinance amending Section 115.01 of the Codified Ordinances of the County of Summit entitled Administrative Organization to make certain updates and revisions to the organization of administrative services for the Executive's Department of Law and Risk Management and Public Safety Emergency. 2025-220, a resolution authorizing the executive to execute aggregate change order number 1 to increase the purchase aggregate total for non-emergency medical transportation services for calendar year 2025 for various vendors as set forth in Exhibit A for the executive's Department of Job and Family Services Emergency. 2025-221, a resolution declaring August 31, 2025 as Overdose Awareness Day in Summit County, raising awareness of the opioid epidemic and asking residents to join in remembering and mourning the lives lost due to the epidemic for the executive emergency. 2025-222, a resolution declaring the day of August 23, 2025 as Summit County Pride Day, encouraging residents to celebrate and support the LGBTQ+ community and the Akron Pride Festival and Equity March for the executive emergency. 2025-223, a resolution designating Fifth Third Bank National Association, Huntington National Bank, JP Morgan Chase Bank National Association, KeyBank National Association, PNC Bank National Association, Portage Community Bank, U.S. Bank National Association, and Westfield Bank Federal Savings Bank as depositories of active monies of the county for the period September 1, 25 through August 31, 29, and authorizing the executive to execute agreements with those financial institutions for the fiscal officer emergency.
Madam President, I move to suspend the rules and adopt the routine agenda found on page 6.
I have a motion to suspend and adopt routine legislation found on page 6. On the suspension, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the adoption, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And if there's no further business, we're adjourned. Thank you.